Welcome everyone again to our Human Ecology project. Our guest today is the fantastic Dan Graham, who has been involved with the Veganic Organic Network, VON, since its inception in 1996. So you're in for a treat listening to this expert. Dan's also organised so many vegan events and festivals, and he helped to create the world map of Veganic Gardeners. Now, I actually put myself on there only because I've got some pot plants growing at the moment. But if you grow plants without the use of any chemicals or pesticides, any animal inputs, you can join this map and network with gardeners in your area and around the world. So this is an incredible project, you know. So apart from that, he also organises many regular events online, which you'll find on the Vegan Organic website, which I'll put the links and everything in. So Dan, Bill and I want to say a big warm welcome to you and thank you for your time today.
Well, thank you for inviting us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'd like to start off by with a line from our student workbooks that comes from Japan, and that is that soil and man are not two. And this was a very important doctrine in the early macrobiotic community, working off the work of Masanobu Fukuoka, the natural gardener, and it was very influential. And of course, as you know, and your work is based on, dead soil means a dead planet, and the terrestrial food chain is where it all begins.
And that's why we're so excited, because Dan's going to do a whole educational program for all you wonderful people around the world that will be listening to this. And as Bill and I often teach our students, one single teaspoon, 1 gram of rich garden soil can hold up to 1 billion bacteria. I mean, it's mind-blowing, right? So several yards of fungal filaments and thousands of protozoa and nematodes. So I'm going to hand you over to the expert who's going to explain to you, Dan, why do people have to learn about veganic gardening?
Right, and in addition to educating people about veganism, what would you say is the core of the organic network?
Right. So what was the first question again? Sorry.
Yes. In addition to educating people about veganism, what's the core purpose of Vegan Organic Network? When was it founded?
Okay, the core purpose. So the Vegan Organic Network was founded in 1996 by a bunch of vegans, activists, and farmers who basically, in response to the organic movement, because the organic movement only really started after the Second World War, when conventional agriculture was implemented. And it was in response to organic farmers, or not all organic farmers, but organic farmers saying that we needed to have animal dung in order to grow our food. And there's many people that dispute this, because in fact, since the birth of agriculture, people have been growing food without the use of any animal inputs, any animal dung. The Aztec and the Mayan empires, companion planting goes back thousands and thousands of years. It all goes back to the birth of agriculture.
Yeah.
And before agriculture, obviously we had food. We had all the forage food, all the food on the planet. People go, does veganic work? And you go, well, plants have been around for a lot longer than people have, hundreds and hundreds of millions of years, the foundation of all life. And it has been growing plants, fruits, vegetables, doing very well without our help. And so basically, on the back of that, the Vegan Organic Network was formed. One of the founding members was my father, David Graham, and who sadly passed away this year. But shortly before he died, he wrote these words, and I think these sort of sum up some of. I don't know if you can see it
Yes,
here, but I'll just read it out. So it says, "Vegans for life. We must work for a world where social justice prevails, a world where animals and people, flora and fauna can live in harmony, a world where the slaughterhouse, war, and the killing fields are made obsolete, a world of cooperation and compassion, a world where we speak and act with the poor, the oppressed, the dispossessed, and give a powerful voice to all those that remain unheard. So they're some of our core principles, and we're all about really trying to create a green, clean, cruelty-free planet, a world with clean rivers, clean oceans, abundance of wildlife, and healthy, nutritious food for all. Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. Congratulations, and what a wonderful legacy your father's left. Beautiful, Dan. Very, very beautiful. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Well, we all know, and it's what we teach as well, that the way of eating that undermines healthy living soil is by definition poor nutrition, right? So can you share with the audience the principles for climate-friendly food, and how do people get started?
Well, the principles of, I'm sure you've all heard of the Hippocratic Oath, which doctors have to take. And it's basically do no harm. And maybe this is the principle that an oath that we all should take in life.
Right.
And I think this is the basic principle of veganic growing. And maybe we want to go beyond do no harm, is let's do some good. Number one, don't do any harm, but then can we do good? Can we enhance our environment? Can we make a better world for ourselves to live in, for our fellow beings to live in?
Yeah.
A healthy soil system, a healthy ecosystem means healthy, nutritious food for all of us. So yeah, basically, yeah, and how to get started. If your people are into being a vegan gardener, then I would say, come to our website, come and see. We got a month-by-month guide on how to grow food, what's in season. And on top of that, we have a monthly show called Veganic Gardeners Question Time. So if you're starting out, or if you're an experienced gardener and you've got any questions out there, fire them off to us. We've got great experts. I mean, this show, the Veganic Gardeners Question Time, which sort of came out of the lockdown, where we started to do online events, has connected us worldwide with experts. So we have experts from all over the world, and they gather together and answer people's questions. And also, not only do they answer people's questions, but we get to see what's happening in different parts of the world. We have Jamie Jones in California with his date trees. We have Piers Warren on the south coast of England. We have Megan in Canada, and projects in India. So it's all very exciting. So to get started, just start, get some seeds, get some plants, and start planting and experiment. Life is an experiment. Let's get out there, get our hands dirty, and do it. Yeah.
And also, you have a monthly, sorry, Bill, you have a monthly newsletter as well, which is always jam-packed with great information.
Yeah, well, the newsletter goes out. Sometimes it goes out bi-weekly. Sometimes it goes out weekly. I think we've got 2 going out this week. So there's lots of news happening. There's lots of things which are connected. So, I mean, where I live, there's just like supermarkets and food shops everywhere. We eat so much food, and our whole life is centered around food. Food and plants are the foundation of all life. And let's get it right. We can do it. We can have it all and more.
Right. I know. I'm sure you've answered some of these questions before, but many of the people that are watching this probably haven't heard them. And I was just wondering, how do you address the issue of sustainability with the approach to agriculture that you're using?
The addressing sustainability. Well, I think sustainability is, in a sense, sustainability. I'm not. Yes, sustainability is keeping things as they are, which is good. Like I think it follows the principle of do no harm. But we're trying to go one step by this, where we're not only trying to sustain things, but we're trying to improve things. We're trying to create a system. So we got the thing is with veganic farming and growing, it comes under all different disguises. So we've got forest gardeners. People have been planting fruit trees and plants and medicinal herbs in forests for thousands of years. And people are doing this, but people are growing food in a way which enhances biodiversity, enhances wildlife. And in fact, the whole veganic system is dependent on having a good functioning wildlife and biodiversity. That's what that's what it's all about. So I'd say it goes beyond sustainability. You know, it goes into enhancing our environment.
Right. So that's one part of sustainability, but the other part is a population of 8 billion plus people to feed. You know, so there's where a lot of us have problems with what we're doing. I mean, we have to address this all the time, just from people who are saying, well, veganism sounds great, but how are you going to feed all the people?
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to bring in, perfect segue into that, is because Dan promotes the whole Stockfree Organic Standards to farmers, right? So, Dan, that's a great question. Actually, what scale of growth have you seen over the past years with the stock-free farming?
Well, there's sort of like two questions there.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
So the first question, feeding a growing population. I mean, at the moment, we've got animal agriculture. Animal agriculture worldwide uses 80% of the world's land mass.
Right.
So, and the thing is, it not only does it use the 80% of the world's land mass, also it uses so much water. It uses so much water. It uses so, but on top of that, it pollutes the planet. So not only is it animal agriculture producing food, it does the land that it's on, it's degrading, and on top of that, it pollutes the whole environment. It pollutes the water system, it pollutes the oceans, it's devastating wildlife. Rainforests are having to be chopped down daily in order to keep up with the meat consumption. So when we have an animal agriculture based system, there's 80 billion land animals are slaughtered every year. So we're able to feed 80 billion land animals. And you go, well, if we're able to, these great big, well, a lot of them are, well, obviously that's not all of them are cows, but a high proportion of cows and other animals, but we're able to feed them. So obviously if we didn't have them to feed, then we'd all have that surplus. We'd have the surplus land. There's so much. It's not rocket science. I'm not quite sure why. You know, the thing is that it is all quite simple. You take. It's like having a business, and you've got a big parasite. I suppose you've got a big. I suppose you do have these. Like in the UK, we've privatized a lot of our businesses, and rather than the profits going into like the rail network, the profits go to the shareholders, and we've just got a business with this model of feeding people just is not efficient. It's not a business model. We need to be efficient, and on top of that, it's not even healthy food. You know, feeding people with these food which is diseasing the populations. It's sort of bad on all counts. So I don't think there is a problem with feeding 8 billion, a growing population. If the population grew to 12 billion, you know, on the system, on the way that we're actually producing food at the moment, we've got more than enough to feed everybody.
That's what we say all the time to our students as well, and we get that question a lot. If you weren't growing the feed to feed the cattle, you would be growing the food to feed the humans, right? It's a no-brainer, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Bill Tara was playing devil's advocate there.
Well, no, not completely, because these are questions that people come up with.
Yeah, all the time.
And they have to do with not only looking at the present model and the failings of the present model, but how do you transition from, say, conventional agriculture, the way that it's done now, to what you're advocating, which is a very valid point and a good point, and certainly would create sustainability on the small scale. So I'm just projecting out the kind of questions that people ask, and people do ask those kind of questions.
Yeah.
No, I think they're very important questions, and I think it's important that we do really embrace those questions, and we really do need a vision of how we're living on the planet,
Yeah.
and and how can our lives be here as humans. It seems that if you're an orangutan, you spend 2 hours a day gathering the food that you need. And it seems now with the advent of technology and all these things, people are actually working longer hours. Here in the UK, people are really struggling to have a roof over their heads. And it's because of all this waste that we have. We haven't got a good business model. We freed up the land. The land is the most valuable thing that we have. And that is causing all the problems, that a few people own all the land. We redistribute the land, not just for wildlife and our ecosystems, but also for people. So we have off-grid eco villages. We have people where they can be independent, where they can, we've got solar technology, we've got wind technology, we've got technology where people can grow their own food. We can have a whole vision of how we can live on the planet and have beautiful lives. Yeah. It's all there, and I think it's such a positive thing. What we're trying to do isn't going without. What the current system means that we go without. This is a system where we can enrich our lives and have real full lives, and find out and get in touch with what our full real potential is in life. What are we doing here on the planet? Not just trying to get a roof over our heads. I mean, we were doing that tens of thousands of years ago in caves, and the monkeys do a lot better job of it than we do.
You're right. That's very true. The other thing I wanted to just touch on as well, which I don't know you, I'm sure you hear this too, but quite often even vegans will say to me, well, veganic, Marlene, that's fine, but maybe at the end of the day, everything still has manure in it, everything still has animal parts used in it, but from me going back a few decades ago, I used to use cover crops and mulch, with pea protein or oats or something, and let it go in. And I had the most delicious, incredible vegetables, right? And I didn't have any trace of animal manure in it at all. So I'm sure you hear that all the time as well, Dan.
I think there's a lot of myths out there, and I think we don't really, there's so much disinformation out there that people don't understand what food is. I mean, for example, where I live in Manchester, we've got just down the road, there's the biggest vegan organic supermarket in the country. Right. So there, all the fruit and veg there is organic. And the thing with it is that some of it is organic and some of it is stock-free, is veganic, but it's not labeled. So it's not, but it's not labeled as such. So you don't know when you go in there whether you're buying stuff which might have been used, animal manure might have been used to grow it, fish blood and bone might have been used to grow it, or you might be, but other products might be veganic, and you just don't know because they don't. So we do need a better labeling system. Yeah. But I think it's important that people understand what conventional food is. So people sometimes say, well, I'm not eating organic because it uses manure or it uses fish blood and bone. So I'm going to, although I don't like chemicals, I'm going to eat that food. So I think we need to understand what conventional food is, what this so-called, because conventional is quite a confusing term, because the conventional agriculture is relatively new. So it's not really a useful word. So it was only at the beginning of the 20th century when Fritz Haber, a German scientist, worked out how to fix nitrogen from the air to make ammonia, right. Which was then used to make nitrogen-rich fertilizer. But the main use at the time was to make bombs for the First and Second World Wars to kill people. And a similar story is true of pesticides. It was also Fritz Haber, also known as the father of chemical warfare, or Dr. Evil by some, created the first pesticides, which were used in the First World War, battlefields to kill people, and in the concentration camps, once again to kill people. It was only at the end of the Second World War, when the bomb-making factories became redundant, that some bright spark came up with the idea of we can convert these bomb-making factories into fertilizer factories. And then the Green Revolution was born. The only way to feed a growing population is to grow our food with bomb-making material and chemical weapons. 70 years on, we're reaping the results of this experiment with an epidemic of food-related diseases, cancer, diabetes. And I'm sure we've all heard of the expression, you are what you eat.
Yeah.
Maybe that expression needs to be translated into, you are what your food eats.
Yeah. Because
the food is only as health, so conventional. So that just on this point of so there's 80 billion land animals are slaughtered every year. So the waste products of these slaughterhouses and farms go into our oceans, goes into our rivers, goes onto our organic farms where it's probably more controlled, and it goes onto the conventional farms. So just to be clear, you don't avoid the slaughterhouse industry by buying conventional. That doesn't avoid it. So I do choose organic when I have the chance, as opposed to conventional food.
Well, we never buy conventional. We buy organic all the time, and I miss growing my own food. But what you're saying about you are what you eat, you know, we teach everybody food makes the blood, blood makes the cells, cells makes the tissue, tissue makes the organs. And here we be every day, and no matter whether we're working with, you know, physicians or anywhere in universities, we say the same thing all the time. The bottom line is that food makes the blood, and your blood is what you create health from. So, you know, we could talk to you forever, Bill. If you get something else you would like to ask Dan, I could keep him here all day, but I know we're running out of time.
No, that's okay. I think it's really great the work that you're doing, and you know, part of the thing I think is, you know, the work that you're doing and that we're doing and a lot of people are doing is trying to create a model of how things could work.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that transition period that gets sticky, you know, and that's where, you know, I find that a lot of the critique of both veganism and anything associated with comes from, you know, from people who are looking at this and starting to say, the actual motivation for them not liking this is completely different, but they'll always frame it in some sort of an intellectual framework or package, some sort of a narrative that fits them. And that is, how do you get from here to here? You know, and I think that what you're doing is providing an incredible model of one of the ways that you could do that, you know, perhaps the way that you could do that. And that's what's inspiring.
Yeah, it's hugely inspiring. And I think what the Veganic Organic Network are doing actually is so beyond anything else that's out there, beyond veganism, you know. And I mean, I'm vegan in my heart for a long, long time, Bill too. But what you guys have put together, Bill said, that is the model. That's what people need. People need to be guided. I mean, we know we've been teaching for a long, long time, and unless you take a lot of people by the hand, Dan, they won't do it. So, you know, the community spirit that you guys are building, you know, the workshops, everything, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think the, you know, the vegan organic movement has come a long way.
Yeah.
You know, we at the Vegan Organic Network created the first certifiable Stockfree Organic Standards back in 2002. We've now got in other countries in Europe, there's the vegan biocyclic standards, and they've got farms all over Europe who in fact are on a much bigger scale than the farms here in UK. So they're actually supplying veganic food to supermarkets, and it's labeled as such. So you can actually go into those supermarkets and go pick up an apple, pick up products, and it says vegan biocyclic on it, which means basically it's been grown in a veganic way. So you can buy those products. And a similar story is true in North America. There's the Veganic Agricultural Network, they organized the world's first veganic summit just in November. So that was very successful. But we're really, I mean, there's George Monbiot. Have you heard of George Monbiot?
Yeah, we know George. Yeah, in fact, we invited him.
His recent book Regenesis.
Brilliant.
A whole chapter was dedicated to the Ian Tolhurst Stockfree Organic Farm, and also soil science. I mean, the way that soil science has moved forward is that the soil science has come a long way just in the last 5 or 10 years. And now soil scientists are working with conventional farmers saying, you don't need to spend all this money on chemicals and pesticides. You can have more abundant, healthy crops by working with us soil scientists. And the soil scientists aren't calling themselves vegan or veganic, but they're actually using veganic methods, creating a whole healthy soil ecosystem. And also they're working with restoration projects. So there's these restoration projects happening around the world now, which are working with soil science and basically using veganic principles to restore our land. There was an amazing project in China, the Laos Plateau. I don't know if you've heard of it. The Laos Plateau is like an area the size of France. It was a total desert. It'd been made a desert through overgrazing and ploughing and chemicals and pesticides. And then local government, working with local people, restored this area, this massive area, into an abundant place full of wildlife, people being able to make a living and have healthy, nutritious food, no more animals grazing. And this is what we need. This is what we need in the planet. We need to have these restoration projects everywhere. And we can all create our own little mini restoration project in our little back gardens or on our windowsills.
Absolutely. Well, we're working 110%, aren't we? 110, 150%, Dan. And we acknowledge and honour all of you for the work that you're doing too. Our educational programmes keep moving forward. Our Human Ecology project, our vision is to get our work into schools. We have two schools we'll be working with, one in March, one in April, disadvantaged schools. So we're going to be taking our Human Ecology project programme in there and talk about health and teach these kids a lot of different things. So we're excited about the year ahead, and we're always excited every year. You know, we just get up every day and get on with it. What's to not love? It's all good news, right? Everything we all do, it's just all good news, you know. So thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute joy and pleasure, and we look forward to getting together with you sometime, because you're not that far. Well, you are far actually. You're up north, but we'll meet one day sometime.
Yeah, well, we want to move north of here, so who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. Yeah.
No, indeed. No, we got some good projects happening around. A veganic farm, 70-acre farms just opened up just down the road from where we are.
Great.
So yeah, there's lots of resources, and yeah, remember to everyone get on the Veganic map. It's free to join.
Absolutely.
And
I will put the website links and everything up on Spotify and on the YouTube channel as well. So enjoy the rest of your day, Dan. It's been an absolute joy, and thank you for your time.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Well, thanks for inviting me to be on the show. Thank you.
Take care.
All right. All the best.